What's up, y'all? It's Jeff Cobb, and you're listening to Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show on Social Suplex Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. Listener discretion is advised at all times.
Hello and thank you once again for downloading and listening to another episode of the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, part of the Social Suplex Podcast Network, and brought to you by Manscaped.com, the kings of grooming of the male pubic area. That could have went a bit better, but hey ho. My name's Clive and I'm joined again as normal by Ricky. Good evening, Ricky.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm alright, but I've got a wee bone to pick with you in a short space of time.
Look forward to it.
Aye, and back for a third week in a row for part of our series that we're doing. Baz D, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much for having us for the third week running. Really looking forward to the pay-per-view to be branded out shortly.
Right. Due to some scheduling snafus, we were going to be doing a sort of 3 week, a pay-per-view per week, 3 week series with these, but we're not able to do that next week. So what we're going to do is give you a nice bumper episode where Barry will give his pay-per-view and then I will do mine afterwards. So it's going to be a nice mini longish episode, depends how long we talk about it, and we've got something good planned for you next week. More details will follow about that later on. But first of all, Ricky, it came to my attention last Thursday afternoon perhaps, that there was a certain Twitter conversation that you had with a certain wife of mine.
Yeah.
During our recording, might I add. So do you want to enlighten the listeners what was going on there, please?
I can't really remember. I think what Mrs. Clive put out, and I'm not went back to read it, was something along the lines like, I'm doing something tonight, so let's say she was saying, I was reading a book, what are you doing, or something along those lines. To which I replied, it was either podcasting with my podcast husband or I think it was podcasting with your husband. To which I think she replied something along the line saying, yeah, you're lucky I let you have him. To which I then replied saying, I may return him to you. And then something along the line, Mrs. Clive replied saying something about, like, I can't remember, something about a jacket. I'd need to go back into and read the tweets, but anyway, it was kind of funny.
Oh, that sounds hilarious.
I didn't want you, and by the sounds of it, I'm not sure your wife wanted you for those couple of hours on a Wednesday either.
Excuse me. Now, I have no issue with you talking to my wife, but I demand your full attention when we are recording this podcast.
You have my full attention.
Liar.
Let me try and find this exchange. It's quite a while ago, actually. It was a good few weeks back.
3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago to be precise.
Was it 2? Right. Let me see if I can find it.
Just you turn your Twitter off, please.
So, anyway.
Anyway, right. Barry, so just a quick rundown of what Mr. Ricky gave us last week. Before we get, I'll let Barry sort of collect his thoughts and have a drink of his summer fruits and all that last week. And obviously Google Docs has taken a long time to load up. Ricky's last week is not. Ricky, do you remember it off the top of your head?
I've got it here, right?
Okay, Ricky. Barry, you tell us what Ricky's was last week then.
So Ricky's self-proclaimed pay-per-view entitled Ricky's Perfect 8. I'll just give you a rundown of the card. It started off from Hell in a Cell 2008, The New Day. That was followed by Angle and Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie at WrestleMania 34 for his speciality match. And then he hit us with a big shocker, a surprising one, the US title, Eddie against Benoit from Vengeance 2003. One that had to jog my memory, but once I remembered about it, it was a classic. Halfway there, number 4, The Undertaker Mankind from it was a Boiler Room Brawl, SummerSlam 96, I think.
Yep.
Becky Lynch versus Charlotte, last women's, was it, standing match, yeah? Was that one?
It was indeed.
Evolution, yep. And then we had the Universal title between Shawn Michaels and Y2J, I believe, of 2008, potentially. It was a ladder match. And the IC title match between Bret Hart and Mr. from SummerSlam 91. And finally, the main event was the WWE title between John Cena and CM Punk from Money in the Bank 2011.
A tasty card, to be fair. I have to give him his due there.
It was indeed.
Sorry, Clive. Mrs. Clive actually wanted to keep you. She said you better go buy that jacket now while you're distracted before I return you. Yep. She likes you.
I admit, I'm glad she does like me. That's good to know.
Just as long as it's straight jacket she was referring to.
Right, Barry, the floor is yours. Do you have a name for your pay-per-view?
I do actually, yes. I just so many daft names were coming about, but I just went for the very simple one, following on
the Pope's 8.
The Pope's 8.
Following on from Backlash, where we had a terribly named main event, but I thought I'd just name my pay-per-view that. So it's the greatest pay-per-view ever. How exciting, how boring at the same time. This will not be topped. I would probably better be going last, actually, Clive, but anyway.
Oh, listen to you two, man. You're a pair of liars.
By the way, see, before Barry continues, like, our American listeners probably won't understand that the Pope's 8 joke at all. They're probably thinking I'm being quite, attacking a certain religious faith, but we're not. It's a Scottish thing. Scottish and Irish thing.
I think actually I was meant to go back and actually think of a name for the event, but I just get caught up after I had to scrap the event twice or something. So I've got a match order as well, actually. So I've already organised that out for us. So firstly, I kicked off with, which was the most difficult one to pick from, actually. We touched on it last week. The United States Championship, it was actually. Even although, as we know, it was bandied about in the 70s in NWA, and then it was the 90s with WCW. Finally found its home for the past 20 odd years in WWE. And this one, I must be honest, I couldn't go back. I didn't have time to go through the thousands of US titles matches there's obviously been over the years, but one that stood out to fit these guys on the card actually is where it sort of came from SummerSlam of 2000. In fact, I've not even got this. I think it's 2015 or 16. It was John Cena versus Seth Rollins for the US title. It was I believe, was it title for title, or was it two full title? No, I think actually was it a US title match. Was that the SummerSlam that he faced Cena then faced Sting? Was it? No, that was the following event, actually. So that's, I was getting confused, that's right. So Sting, when he actually retired Sting, it was a following event. Apart from the ending, which was absolutely terrible.
Oh, God, I know what one you're talking about now.
John, what was his name?
Bradshaw.
Can't remember, but that guy was in it anyway.
John Stewart.
Other than that, it was the best match I'd seen, actually, throughout the feud. I know they'd had a few WWE title matches, I believe, as well. Some stage, but that was probably the most difficult choice because there wasn't really many standout US title matches. It's quite poor to say that, actually, considering it's been about for 20 odd years, and I couldn't actually think of at least a top 5 that I could have mustered together. So, but no, it was. I think that's a steady opener there. John Cena and Seth Rollins, a good way to get both of them onto the card as well.
You're right in saying that it's hard to pick something that stands out for the US title matches, especially on pay-per-view, because obviously a lot of the sort of more exciting ones were in John Cena's Open Challenge stuff. And there was actually, funnily enough, when we were talking about this last week, the WWE Network put on a best United States title matches. I thought someone must have been listening to the show.
I remember you said that. I wasn't that impressed with the list they'd come up with themselves, actually. I watched it just to hopefully get an idea from there, but I just settled on that one myself.
But their list, and I've not saw the list, probably didn't include any Benoit matches. and probably knowing them probably didn't include any kind of Jericho matches either.
No, I don't think it did actually. I think AJ Styles was in one. Might have been a couple for WCW. I can't really remember, to be honest. But so yeah, that was the opening match anyway. Just move on then. Or?
I know.
No, that's a good match. That was in the midst of Seth. Probably, I don't want to say peak Seth or anything like that, but it was like Seth's that sort of 2-yearish run or whatever it was. Maybe not as long as 2 years, but might have been actually. Where he was an absolute bastard. Yeah, no, that was a good match. We had a few good matches actually.
That's it. But I would have probably picked another one for Cena's US title run, but as we mentioned, a lot of them figured in Raws actually. So
that'll be an interesting one if I ever do that. Title matches on TV, because I think we've got a lot of good ones to choose from.
That would be a hipster's card for sure. I did like that match, and they two did have really good chemistry.
Yep.
They had quite an interesting tables match actually at TLC 2014. It's just the ending infuriated me. No end.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of it as well, so thanks for that, Barry. I'm in a bad mood.
What was his damn name again?
John Stewart.
That's it.
I kept trying to say Jon Snow, but that's Jon Stewart.
You talking about the Game of Thrones guy or the Channel 4 news presenter?
Either both are heroes.
I don't know if I watched Game of Thrones, but that was the first guy. He did pop into my head actually. So, second match we got down here, the women's match actually. It's the first of two Hell in a Cell matches that appear on this card. This one was a giveaway then. It's Charlotte versus Sasha Banks from Hell in a Cell 2016. I touched on it last week about this being potentially my women's choice, and it won by far large. It was the first, I believe, women's main event, is it? On a pay-per-view?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was. Was it the first Hell in a Cell as well?
First women's Hell. It definitely was the first women's Hell in a Cell. I also believe it was the first pay-per-view that women main evented. And they showed that they could easily main event, and should have been main eventing events before that. And this was a match that showed to me, and I don't mean this derogatory or anything, but they could finally hang with the men, because they weren't able to show that they could have hung with the men before that, and it should have been long ago, but for whatever reasons it took to 2016 to prove their worth, and this match was just it. And again, without sounding in any way derogatory or anything, but I felt as if I was watching two guys fighting. That's how good a match it was, and easily the main event of that pay-per-view as well. I believe there was two others Hell in a Cell matches at that event as well, I believe. One which featured members of the Shield, so how that main event, it just shows you how good a match it actually was.
It was, and I'm not just saying this, but I said it at the time as well, it was one of the best Hell in a Cell matches I'd seen in a long, long time. And I think it was one of those ones, although it was a pay-per-view brand name, their rivalry called for it, because it was so heated and so personal, and it became so lengthy. It was warranted to be in a Hell in a Cell match. The only sticking point was that near the end, Sasha Banks got sort of body slammed through the table, which didn't break, but can't be helped.
I think Indeed cared about that at that point, to be honest with you.
It's a solid pick. I'm very, very pleased with that one. It's a tasty number. Ricky?
Yes, I think certainly for historic reasons, etc., it's a good pick. For me personally, it wasn't my favourite out of them, because I think, and I don't know if you'll agree with it, unfortunately we can't pick TV matches, because they had a couple on a Raw.
Aye.
Was it a Falls Count Anywhere?
Falls Count Anywhere. That was better. Aye.
Yeah, that was fucking terrific. But I actually enjoyed. I enjoyed the Hell in a Cell match. The table breaking doesn't really bother me, if I'm honest, because I'm one of the people that actually kind of likes when things don't look right or don't go to plan, in a sense. Like, I always say, like, when Walter gets to the top, when it goes to the top turnbuckle, it's like, it just looks so unnatural. It looks like he's going to fall over, and I'm like, well, it should look like that. Look at the size of the guy. Like, it should look natural. I quite like that because it adds a realistic element to it, and I kind of like, not so much I like botches, but I enjoy like the ruggedness at times and just like the craziness and just throwing punches, etc. Because it adds a real life element to it. Like I said, I enjoyed the match. I did. And we did speak about it last week. It was one that I considered as well. But yeah, Charlotte and Sasha, like their feud was pretty good. Especially some of the stuff on Raw, and just unfortunate. I think that I wish they'd gone like all in on Sasha at that point. But yeah, no, solid pick.
See, apart from the last few months, I think that was peak Sasha.
And I think so, but I think, I know we're kind of drifting off, but I think it was perhaps the only time, other than kind of what they're doing right now with her in the way she's doing well, is it seems like the only time that they went all in on her in a sense of being like, no, like we've got faith in her and we're going to spotlight her and we're going to give her this the platform. I know there was like, especially with what's her name, Alexa Bliss, there was kind of going back and forth kind of with the titles, etc., and they never really gave her that sustained push, but she was certainly in the title picture that entire time. But yeah, the 2-3 years or so after that, like she was almost like an afterthought until now, which was to me isn't right.
I think there were confidence issues with her later on because she was a shell of her former self for a couple of years. She was a botch queen. She just didn't look interested at all. Obviously, she left for a while to look after herself, and it's just, I think now we're seeing this whole thing.
Who we saw in NXT.
Aye,
exactly.
Yep.
And I think
fucking damn great wrestler.
The fact that that's main evented that pay-per-view, it was because it was the most engaging and interesting story throughout all of WWE at that time, and it deserved the main event spot, not just because women haven't done it before, because it was the best story going. So I can't fault that pick at all.
Yeah. Okay, match number 3. If I'm brutally honest with this one here, I came across it by accident. I was looking through the pay-per-views of yesteryear, and I was actually looking at the Hell in a Cell match from this year. It was a No Mercy 2002 between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, was the match I was actually looking for. And this one here is for the tag team titles. Now, I could have done your cliches of the TLCs, Hardy's, Edge and Christian, every variety of them. However, this one here, I didn't have much recollection of, but when I watched the match, I thought, I can't pass out a moment here if I've been these 4 legends in the ring at one time. And I'm touching right on the edge here with this one. It's a tag team title tournament final, believe it or not.
Well, I know exactly where you're going here. I know it.
Is this one in your card, Brian?
No, it's just I know the classic you're talking about.
So, having just watched the match last night, and when you hear the first guy's name, Edge, you expect his tag team partner to normally follow by Christian, but it wasn't. It was Rey Mysterio, and they fought Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. That's all I've got to say about that. Describe the match in a way. Now that alone, those 4, that could have been evented this card, if I'm honest with you. Unbelievable. I'd forgot about it for a start. Unbelievable match. Started off very slow burner, but it was rightfully slow because the near falls in the match is the crowd and everything. Oh, unbelievable. Absolutely. I can't speak highly enough of the match. It's definitely one we need to go back and watch. Similar to what happened with Benoit and Guerrero last week, we couldn't remember that one, but this was Mysterio and Edge up and coming against the veterans of Angle and Benoit, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've got to say a special mention there. I actually was going to pick a match from the early 90s. Actually, it was the Hart Foundation versus Demolition in a 2 out of 3 falls match, the tag team titles, and it was again another brilliant match, but Bret Hart was left for other things in the event, so I had to take that one out, which was annoyed by at the time. But when I found this, it was an able replacement, but incredible stuff.
Ricky?
I mean, sorry if I'm popping in and out. I'm writing Barry's card on my notes.
Mm-hmm.
I always say it, and I say it just about every other week. Great in-ring wrestling is all I care about, and well, you've got 4 of the absolute all-time greats. Terrific match. Like, not going to lie, I might have to go rewatch this again if I'm honest. Barry mentioned Park Foundation and versus Demolition, but another good match as well. And yeah, like I say, it's like, honestly, like, you can't really go wrong with this match at all. Like Barry says, I don't think you need to justify why you've put it on the card. You know, like, the names alone show you how good, tell you just how great this match was. But I think people need to go out and watch it. And I think once we've done all these cards, I'm going to make a point and go out and watch all these matches, like, in order the ways I've put it, just to kind of make it look like a pay-per-view. Yeah, and to touch on what Barry says as well, like, I intentionally avoided the Hardys and Bubba and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian TLC matches because I felt they're just too obvious. I kind of wanted to go elsewhere. But yeah, great pick.
I was trying as hard as I could to avoid like sort of cliche matches like that. So.
Yep.
One of the best things about that was the backstory leading into it, because Kurt Angle and Benoit, a storied rivalry before and after this tag title run that they had, and there was a will they won't they with regards to who's going to attack each other, but they were loyal to each other to the end of this with the tag title run, and that was a feature going forward. Edge and Mysterio, they were never in doubt when it comes to their loyalty to each other, but that sort of thing going on with Benoit and Angle was excellent. But the near falls, I've seen the match in the last few years, so you're right, you could have just said the names and we could have moved on to the next pick, because there's nothing else to be said. That is definitely one of the best tag team matches there's ever been.
Did Mysterio and Angle fight the SummerSlam that year as well, or was it the year before? Remember the SummerSlam? It was in card belt after belter, Lesnar Rock. It was a Lesnar Rock main event.
That was Mysterio and Angle, that one.
Mysterio Angle, that's what it was.
That was the opener.
I think it might be right, actually. Aye, it was.
That was
fast-paced opener.
Was that not 02?
It was Lesnar's breakthrough year, so it was the same year. That's what I'm saying. So the feuds kind of continued through the SummerSlam. Because nobody else was October. So anyway, so halfway through on to number 4. This one I'd actually down at first, if I'm honest, is the speciality match, and I discovered it was actually an Intercontinental title match, which once I rewatched it, I can remember very well. It was it's from Backlash of 2004, and it was Randy Orton versus Mick Foley in a no holds barred match, and also a Falls Count Anywhere match. Violent, tons of blood, and somebody remind me if I've seen a more violent match since this. This was 16 years ago. Possibly not, because 2005, I suppose, to 7 still had quite a lot of sickness, and then it just faded off from then. But Foley, supposed to be Mick Foley, comes down with the Cactus Jack gear on. You know where this match is going when you see that happening. Thumbtacks, flaming tables, whatever, you name it, is there. Incredible. Just followed on from the WrestleMania 20 when it was The Rock and Foley versus Evolution. And also in part of the storyline as well, Mick Foley, or Orton spat in Mick Foley's face and then shoved him in a flight of stairs.
As you do.
I had everything, and it was one of my favourite of that year, let alone that decade probably.
I didn't realise that was for the IC title.
Neither did I. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know.
So is this your IC title match, or is this your speciality?
This is my IC title match, because I was going to have Bret Hart and Bulldog from SummerSlam 92, and then I discovered that was an IC title, so I thought, well, I can't include that in as the speciality match and not the IC. I don't know if I could have actually, but maybe I could have. But anyway,
I think the opening segment, or the opening of that match kind of set the tone for it. Randy Orton standing in the ring with his 4x4, whatever, is wrapped in barbed wire. Cactus Jack and Mick Foley walks down with his, and you're like, oh, okay, shit's just going to kick off straight away, and it, like you say, is hellacious from start to finish. Like you say, blood, guts, just everything that you possibly want in a an old school proper hardcore match. Yeah, like they had some absolute horrific moments. Orton, like I say, is one of the greatest heels you'll see, just an absolute piece of shit. And yeah, like that, the stuff they produced together, whether it be like the singles or tags, etc., like they always had a good chemistry with one another. And there was a period as well where Mick Foley was just getting abused every single week by Evolution.
Aye.
You could maybe argue for the Undertaker stuff a year later, but I would say this might be Randy Orton's best match.
Yep, easy. It'd easily be up there anyway, surely.
Oh, aye, definitely.
I think
even Mick
Daniel
Foley's
Bryan.
one of Mick Foley's best matches as well.
I think the Daniel Bryan Batista triple threat is probably my favourite Randy Orton match. But if we're going 1-on-1, then you know.
Well, I was going to actually say it was probably one of Mick Foley's last ever great matches, because it was the match with Edge, obviously, a year later, or a couple of years later. But other than that, his Flair matches were alright, but they were sort of slow spot fest, really. So it was probably one of his better matches and probably one of his last ever sort of best matches as well, I suppose.
And the good, what I like about some matches is, yeah, we typically normally think stuff like last man standing or no holds barred or no DQ, that you're thinking, well, this is going to be a spot fest from start to finish. But this one was like a genuine, they hated one another, and it was still like that. You could still sense a story through it. Like it wasn't just like, oh, we're going to do all these high spots. No, we hate one another. But I'm going to punish you. And you could see that in the storyline. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'll do a big move and you do a big move kind of thing.
It was excellent.
I don't know if it was something off screen with it through as well at that point. I don't know if that was just rumours or part of the story of it, but I'd bought into it anyway.
I want to watch that match back just now, so we'll just pause this and I'll watch it. It's such a good match. Good shout.
So next is my World Heavyweight title defence. Again, special shout-outs in this one that didn't make it. One of them was The Undertaker versus Edge from WrestleMania. Probably the best match of that event, potentially. Maybe Michaels and Flair, but anyway, that was one of them. And also a storyline where I felt as if they built up somebody and totally wasted his run and his push was when Triple H beat Booker T for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 19.
Aye.
So that was one as well that was very close to getting it. However,
one of the worst booking decisions in WrestleMania or WWE history. Like that was just fucking terrible at that time.
Even watching the match, I think he's definitely won. And then, so I settled from SummerSlam 2008, a TLC match. It was between CM Punk and Jeff Hardy. At that time, I was not a big fan of CM Punk, really, to be honest with you. Jeff Hardy was going through a good singles run. He had his injuries and probably a spout of issues off the wrestling circuit at that point as well. But this was the match where I thought CM Punk had something. I didn't really think much of him up to that point, as I says. But I felt both their A-games were brought to this one, and they were both on cue. The chemistry was great. I think as well it was genuine that they two had a hatred for each other off camera as well. And that Swanton Bomb onto the ladder to finish the match is iconic, and it continues to be to this day forward. It also main evented the event that year as well, so great.
Yep, I'm pretty sure. I wasn't a big fan of CM Punk at the time, and this was around the time where I started tuning out of WWE because CM Punk became the top guy and other reasons. I've mentioned it many times before, but when I watched this match back, it was a cracker. I would go so far as to say this was Jeff Hardy's most daredevilish stunt. Better than any of his TLC matches, because this was a freaking high ladder. You're talking 20 feet. None of your mid-height ladders. This was all the way high, and he had to land on a CM Punk on a table. That must have been the worst one he's taken. Horrendous, but really good match. And it did main event. I'm just checking here. It main evented over Randy Orton and John Cena.
I think Taker came back as well.
Yes, actually, aye.
I actually saw you did. I had to set up the CM Punk.
Yep.
Disappointing story at that point, actually.
This, along with some horrendous booking decisions, like we were just about to enter like that great sort of like 4 year period or so, whatever it was for Punk. This was maybe the start of it all. Maybe it started a little bit earlier than Jeff Hardy match. And I said that the build up to the match was a lot of like how Punk would kind of deride Hardy and just talk about how he was mentally weak and stuff like that, and you know he was more deserving of a champion, etc. And like I said, the fact that this closed the pay-per-view over Cena Orton, you know, just tells you how high they were on potentially CM Punk at this point.
Yep.
So Punk and Jeff, they had a lot of good moments, a lot of good matches as well. Yeah, it's another good pick if I'm honest. Definitely a match worth watching. Definitely one of Punk's better matches as well, I think. Yeah, that says pretty damn good pick.
Okay, so match number 6 is the Blood feud, as it we're calling it.
Yep.
Blood feud. So I decided to stick with the name of it and stick with Blood. So I've went for this match here, which is the first Blood match from King of the Ring 1998. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane, who had no long showed up into WWE at that point. This one here, this is peak Attitude. This is peak McMahon. This is McMahon proper screwing Stone Cold over. Put him in a first blood match against a masked Kane. Now, what chance have you got to win that if the person you're facing is masked? So, how does Stone Cold overcome it? It did everything. Strangely enough, it had pretty good chemistry for Kane only showing up, and his move list at that point wasn't great, and his in general wasn't great. As it says, McMahon trying to screw over Stone Cold by making that first blood match, and of all the things to happen, Errol Hebner gets knocked out, and it's the Undertaker of all people who enters the match along with Mankind, and Undertaker tries to strike Kane with a chair, he ducks and hits Stone Cold, so that leads to Stone Cold getting busted open. And then it's him trying everything under the sun to get Kane to bust open before Errol Hebner gets back up. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. So for those of you who've never seen that match, I've just ruined it for you. So yeah, it was great. A masked Kane, peak in the middle of the Attitude Era as well, and the first ever first blood match, which was actually, I think, was this a title match actually? I think this might have been.
I can't remember if it was a title match, but I remember Kane saying if he loses, he would like set himself on fire.
That's right.
And I remember Taker's justification for interfering in the match was he couldn't watch his baby brother set himself on fire or whatever.
That's right. And then it was same night as Undertaker and Mankind in the Hell in a Cell, and the Cell comes down in this match as well. Actually,
that's what I was going to ask. That added to the chaos of this one, because all that stuff you've mentioned was just Attitude Era booking at its finest. And then they brought the Cell down as well. It just gave it a right manic feel. So it might have been a title match, but if you've picked something else for that, I'm not fussed, because it was. Yeah. I've obviously got more of a memory for the other.
It was a title match.
I've obviously got more memory for the Hell in a Cell match. Stone Cold
wins the title back the next night in Raw. Actually, I remember.
But I do remember quite a lot of that, and that was Austin, Mankind, Undertaker and Kane. There was a lot of back and forth between those 4 chaps. That was some crazy shit back in the day. Good shout.
Mm-hmm. What I remember as well in the build up to it was Austin was in the middle of the ring, and suddenly like the fake blood fell from the rafters onto him, and then Kane had that little wee voice box thing. And he was like something like Austin on Sunday or whatever it is, it'll be real blood. What I liked about the finish as well was like Austin was like stomping away, I think at Kane or someone, and Errol Hebner comes round and notices Austin, rings a bell, and Austin's looking at Hebner like, what the hell are you doing? And then all of a sudden he realises, like, how the hell did I get busted? It was quite cool, because even Austin in that crazed mentality didn't even realise he'd been busted open. All of a sudden the match comes to an abrupt halt, and he's absolutely stunned and doesn't seem to have any recollection of how that happened.
Jeff took it differently. I thought he was trying to tell Errol Hebner it was Undertaker busting me open, so that's not right. So he shouldn't have won the match or lost the match, whatever. But it could be that way as well, I suppose. But so 2 matches left. It was hard at this point because they're trying to fit as many people in as you can. So the last 2 probably do sound quite cliche. So I've went back and what I've said previously there. So the speciality match I've picked it was a Hell in a Cell match it was going to be. So I tried to stay away from the main ones I would think about right away. But I settled in. They had to include Undertaker in it anyway, so Undertaker had to win this pay-per-view. I've went for his battle with Triple H at WrestleMania 28, with Shawn Michaels as the ref. From the 3 matches they had at Mania, this was the best one, I think. It had, obviously, the end of an era to it, which was a great feel. I think it was actually the last ever time me and all my mates watched the Mania together live as well, so it was also our end of an era as well, I think.
Aye, that rings a bell, yep.
But no, I would say definitely for the 3 I'd seen, this was definitely the best one from them. I would say just missed out was probably Undertaker and Lesnar, actually. And Edge would have probably been there, but I stuck with that tag match, obviously, so that's the reason that one never made it.
There was a point, and Undertaker actually mentioned it in his series that was on the network recently, that when Shawn Michaels hit the Sweet Chin Music, then Triple H hit the pedigree, you thought, this is it, this is the streak over. And he kicked out, and that was one of those moments. And
once you survived that match, I think that streak's never ending.
I know. A good shout.
See, I actually thought the streak was more in danger in the previous match with Triple H.
Aye.
Because I remember how Taker the way they made it seem like was Taker barely made it out and he struggled, and that was the whole thing about him coming back. And the second match to Triple H was like, no, like I basically had to get carried out of that match, and you've been going on about how I was lucky and stuff like that, so now I have to come back and basically rip your head off to make it right again. And yeah, let's say the pedigree, Sweet Chin Music pedigree, and even you saw like 1, 2, and then suddenly he kicks out, and then Shawn Michaels is rolling about in the ring like getting frustrated. Yeah, like those 4 matches were really, really good. I think that probably was the last decent Taker Mania match until the Punk one. And that was a couple of years later, was it? Was it 3 years later, I think?
That was the following year. Next year.
28, 29 now. 28.
I thought the Punk one took... Aye. So that's what I'm saying, that was like the last stretch, really, I would say, of the good Taker matches until probably... The Bray one was fine for what it was. I'm not going to say it's like... It wasn't great, but it wasn't like 0 stars or whatever, up until really the match he had with AJ just this past year. So like I said, that was probably the culminate of coming to the end of the last great sort of match you would see from Taker.
See, as well, it was, when you think about it, it was the end of a 4-year story because Triple H, HBK 2 years in a row with 2 classics. Then Triple H was trying to take the mantle on to Shawn Michaels a year later, and then Shawn Michaels came back to referee this one, so that's some hashtag long-term booking there.
And I know we're going to say because Triple H isn't anywhere near as on Shawn Michaels' level wrestling-wise, that's true, right? But like there were such different matches as well, and I think and Triple H and Taker say themselves in that documentary is that we can't do what him and HBK done because it's just not possible. So we're going to have to go down a different route and do something it's going to be hopefully just as good but more suitable we can do together. And it says 4 years storyline coming to an end. And
also they've both been in the most Hell in a Cell matches, so it makes sense that side of things as well. As far as I'm aware, they're the most. I know definitely Triple H. Aye, Undertaker.
Aye, I think about.
So you've left. You've got one left.
So we've got one left, and it's the WWE Championship. was the greatest ever WWE Championship in my eyes. Would be hard to beat this one. From two of your all-time favourites. Easily in my top 5, maybe even 3 favourites of all time. And it's the man just mentioned there as the referee from that match. It's Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, Iron Man match, WrestleMania 12. 60 minutes wasn't enough for these guys to find a winner. I had to get into sudden death, which Shawn Michaels finally wins. Amazing chemistry. I know they had their off-camera issues, but Bret was one of these guys where he would just forget that for this sort of. He knows that would sell the money, and that this was going to be a big match, especially at Mania. You can tell in his face actually when he hears it's went to sudden death, he's to come back down, and he's not going to retain the title at that point. But other than that, this is the best match they had probably. Apart from a very early match they had in about 92 when Michaels was still breaking out as a singles wrestler. Other than that, I don't think you can beat this for WWE title matches, to be honest with you. It's just all-time favourite of mine. Good nostalgia to it, and a wee 90s number there to fling in, so happy with that.
This might actually be my first ever match I'd seen, and I watched it in your house, Barry. Not live,
really?
Obviously, but I'd watched it in your house and we were running about your living room.
Acting out the match, probably.
Like a pair of wee fannies. We were 20 at the time.
This was back in the day when tape them off Sky, because I remember doing it at one of my friends' house to watch Paul Ross actually. He'd always want to watch them all right away, so.
Ricky?
I remember, and since we're just talking about how we used to watch it back in the day, I remember I was too scared to go down the stairs myself to watch it in the middle of the night, so I had to drag one of my sisters out of bed to come downstairs and sit in the room while I watched the wrestling until 4 o'clock in the morning.
And that's when you were at 20 years old as well?
Yes, that was just last year.
This was proper back in the day, but this is when they didn't even show it live. This was getting shown at 3 in the afternoon or something.
Right, okay.
WrestleMania's did anyway.
It's funny enough, I don't think many people think highly of this match. No.
Really?
I don't. A lot of people that it doesn't seem to be one of the matches it's stood the test of time. I enjoyed it at the time. I did. I really did. Even now, I think I still would looking back and say no. I still enjoy that match. I think my only issue with Iron Man matches is, I remember speaking to Josh about this actually, is that you're kind of waiting for that last 5 minutes or so, because it all kind of boils down to that last 5 minutes, because you know that's when it gets picked up and all hell could break loose. And the fact that it was no pinfalls at all, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, this is where I differ and this is where I'm going to agree with Barry, is that I just, in-ring wrestling is just all I care about. Mm-hmm. And if you're giving me 60 minutes of Bret Hart, I'm sorry, like, I'm going to be entertained. I'm going to enjoy what I'm watching. Like I say, from just a pure personal standpoint, and I know some people might not agree, but the fact that you just sit and watch Bret Hart for 60 minutes, sign me up for that any day of the week.
I think, as you're saying about the last 5 minutes, I think at that point, that was the first ever Iron Man match, so you didn't know what to expect, so once obviously seen that, then you're expecting that afterwards.
And then obviously the last like 20 seconds or minute or whatever, he was in the sharpshooter, and it was all like, is he going? And then suddenly Bret walks out saying, I'm the winner, but then comes back in and immediately looks pissed off and starts bang going. And that's what I loved about Bret, just immediately starts going to the lower back again, starts weakening the lower back even more and more. And then obviously you had that moment, it was like the boyhood dream true and coming down from the rafters and stuff. So I think for me it's still a significant moment in wrestling or WWE history, that match.
Well, it's still voted the best championship match of all time on thing as well, WWE.com. I noticed last night.
See, for everyone who is a big massive fan of Bret Hart, there's equally someone who thinks he's boring. So I think maybe that's where you're thinking.
Looking at you, Mags. I'm looking at you.
That maybe think that wasn't that good. I've got no issues with Bret Hart matches. If you're looking for a long, drawn-out story that's not rushed, that's not all that, just super kick city. I know he's fighting against Shawn Michaels, you know what I mean? The work rate
But
stuff.
the super kick was a finisher.
Aye, exactly. I can't fault it. It's the first of its kind. It's still probably the best Iron Man match, maybe. I mean, you've got a couple of really strong contenders there. But when you had Shawn Michaels at his peak and Bret Hart, just who was at his for a long time, you can't at all. And if anyone's looking for more info on this, I was actually listening to JR's podcast last week. He does one with the Conrad Thompson fella, and they were talking about Bret Hart's 1996 in detail, and they were talking quite a lot about this Iron Man match and how they would have not booked the ending differently because of the draw sudden death thing, but they would have advertised it ahead of time so that people were going in thinking this could be a possibility instead of being thrown a swerve. But it's quite a good wee interview. I think it was last week's one with JR and Conrad, so check that out. But a solid end to a solid pay-per-view. It's going to be about 5 hours long, mind you, with that. So just to run through Barry's, the greatest pay-per-view ever. We've got the US title match between John Cena and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2015. Women's title match, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks, Hell in a Cell 2016. Tag title match, Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit at No Mercy 2002. IC title match, Randy Orton versus Mick Foley, Backlash 2004. World title, CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, TLC match, SummerSlam 09. For your sort of blood feud, you had Steve Austin versus Kane at King of the Ring 98. Undertaker and Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 28. And last but certainly not least, HBK versus the Hitman, WrestleMania 12 in an Iron Man match for the WWF title. I'm going to put a wee cheeky F in there to keep it old school. So, I'm not going to say leave the best for last. I'll not be a dick like you two have been. When I was picking these, you do have to, there's a lot of thought that goes into it because you want to immediately pick your favourites. You want to immediately pick, but sometimes your favourites are in about 3 or 4 matches. So you do have to make some sacrifice along the way, and it can be a bit annoying, to say the least. So when we're going to mine, there might be some shock omissions. There might be even some shock omissions of certain wrestlers. You'll also be surprised to know that 2 of the matches happen at the same pay-per-view as well. So it's going to be quite an interesting read for you. And to start off the night, a curtain jerker. Oh, and by the way, although I said I wasn't going to be a fan like you two, I'm going to be a ponce and just give you a dictionary definition for the word retribution. Punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. Because, ladies and gentlemen, my pay-per-view is called Retribution. I'm pretty sure that was a TNA pay-per-view back in the day. Does anyone remember that at all?
No, but Retribution was, believe it or not, mine's going to be Final Retribution was going to be the name of my pay-per-view, actually.
Was it?
That would have been really weird, aye.
Well, just as well I stole it somehow before you. So to open up the show is the US title match, and I think, as you said before, it's hard to pick something from these, but something that's going to pick up the show, that's going to get the crowd invested and be interesting and different. It is from Hell in a Cell 2010, a submissions count anywhere match between The Miz, Daniel Bryan and John Morrison. Not sure if you've got much of a memory of that one, but that one always stood out to me since I'd watched it back. You had all 3 guys playing at their best, like at their best traits. So you had them as being the cowardly chicken shit heel, doing anything he could to win matches, and also looking scared, always punching up, if that makes sense. Daniel Bryan, submission powerhouse, we know the story with that, and John Morrison, because it was a submissions count anywhere match, he was using the furniture and environment to his best with his parkour stuff, and it was just hell, crazy stuff. They were going through the crowd, so you had that brawl atmosphere, and just, I think that's a delightful way to open the pay-per-view. Don't know if you've got much of a memory of this one. Barry?
I don't actually know. No, I was just trying to remember. Did this open the pay-per-view as well, did you say?
I think
that opened the actual pay-per-view.
It's open in mine, but it opened that one as well.
Mm-hmm. What year was it, sorry? 2010?
Yep, Hell in a Cell 2010. And it was just after
It was just the
Daniel
year
Bryan.
they had a great singles match, Daniel Bryan and The Miz. They did the Night of Champions, they two fought, which I'm pretty sure was the event before it.
It might have been because these two had an ongoing thing, because Daniel Bryan was part of the Nexus thing when he got fired, then he came back and took The Miz's place at SummerSlam that year. So it probably
That's right.
was.
Uh-huh. Aye, well, if it was following on for that, then they did have a great singles match. I just can't really remember why I don't remember much about it, actually, but no, I definitely want to go back through it. But that Daniel Bryan Miz match, I believe, was a contender for one of mine at one point as well, actually. Hell in a Cell 2010 it was, yeah.
It was, yep.
Solid, real solid opener. My only issue with the match, and not the selection, the match itself was only one of them, and I'm just talking about going into the match and watching the match straight out. The only problem was that only one of them had like submission moves in their arsenal. So to me, it was like, well, how are for these other two guys who don't use, how are they going to win the match?
I think that adds to the unpredictability of it.
No, like you say, Morrison's using other things to try to use other things to his advantage. Like I said, it's a good opener. It's a good opener. I've not got any issue with that match at all. I'd say it's a pretty good start to the pay-per-view.
Miz had been on to use the figure four leg at one point, though.
I know, but it's just, I think it's the Miz and using submissions. I just feel like, well, you know.
I think he did use the figure four in this match, so I'm not sure if it was before or after that he started making it part of his actual repertoire. But that's, like we've said a few times now, it's really hard to pick a super duper US title match, but that one stood out for me. And also, you need to think about trying to get your favourites on the card, and Daniel Bryan is one of my favourites, so there he is. I'm going to stick with the mid-card scene for my match number 2, and it's an Intercontinental title match. The Royal Rumble 2001, and it was a ladder match between Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. I've just noticed that all three of us have Chris Benoit in our pay-per-views.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Like, I'll let Barry go first, actually. I'll just let Barry go first if you want.
I can remember this opening, the event that year, and it wasn't a very long match, but it was continuous, constant, fast-paced. There was a sick moment. Benoit had done something, did he slides the ladder or something, it connected badly with him or something?
What was really bad about it, and it was probably a big fucking contributing factor to what happened later on, but he was doing a suicide dive out of the ring, and Jericho was already out of the ring with a chair, and he just smashed him in the head.
That's it.
Mid-suicide dive.
That was very early on in the match as well, but no, it's a great choice actually. It's one that never even appeared in my memory when I was figuring out for IC title matches, but great choice, and a wee sneaky ladder match in there as well, which is great.
It's quite good, because this was the thing where I picked Retribution as my pay-per-view name, because quite a few of these matches it's all about getting revenge and vengeance, and Benoit got a lot of the upper hand over Jericho in 2000, and these guys had quite a sort of personal rivalry in 2000, and it started back up again in 2001 with this ladder match. And I think that was maybe the first one that I can remember where, although the ladders had been used rather innovatively at TLCs and all that stuff, just two guys using ladders as weapons, it was quite novel, and it stood out. It was a bit more guttural than the sort of flashy spot fests that other tag title ladder matches have been. And I'm pretty sure there was a Walls of Jericho done on top of the ladder as well.
Yep, that's right.
I think to a couple of things that you've just said there, Clive. There was a ladder match you expect, like spots and just high intensity, etc., but there was an actual storyline still behind the match.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty, I think, of these kind of matches, that yes, we expect blood and guts, but when you incorporate the blood and guts with a storyline that's still going on, and and you can see it. That's the beauty of it. That's the great thing of it. Like, because you can put any two guys in the ring and just say, right, just start knocking lumps one another, just bust each other open for shits and giggles. But there's a meaning behind everything they were doing. And just to touch on the actual match itself, the ladder match, I think this is one of the best ladder matches you'll see. Not quite going to say it's the best ladder match, but it's up there, I think. Probably just a notch below maybe HBK and Razor Ramon. But I think, you can make arguments that it's in people's top 4 or 5, I think.
Uh-huh.
I also, you say we've all got Chris Benoit. Well, look, we understand that you can't talk about Chris Benoit and not mention what he's done. But Chris Benoit is one of the absolute very best wrestlers of all time. So it's not a surprise that he's on all 3 of our cards, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
What he done was horrific. But if we're talking about just his wrestling ability, I get we can't really just talk about just that, but his wrestling ability alone, like I say, is pound for pound every bit as good as anyone you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm. So I was trying to be as careful as I could with the order of this, and I'm trying to think of how matches ended and how they started. So I can explain, like, we've had the US title match, got people out of their seats, then we had the IC title match, which was quite a grisly affair, so people are maybe a wee bit sort of despondent and just lacking in energy at that point after watching quite a violent effort. So I'm going straight in with the Star Attraction one to get people back in the mood, engaged and energised straight away. And yes, I am picking John Cena, despite my hate of the man over the years, but there was a spell, 2015 and 16, where he was just doing the work rate matches and I could hardly fault him throughout most of that. And the Star Attraction match was SummerSlam 2016, John Cena versus Alan Jones Styles. Uncle Al himself. This was bonkers, this match. I mean, it's one of those ones where they just totally fucking spammed the finishers and the kickouts at 2.5 or 2 and 9/10. But you couldn't help but just be wowed by what was going on with this one. And the end result with seeing AJ Styles actually beat John Cena clean, soundly and emphatically. It's just a very memorable match, and I think it will go down in history as one of both of their best matches, possibly.
What was this? Is this just a singles match, this one?
Cena and AJ Styles at SummerSlam 2016.
Aye, so you don't need to, I didn't realise you could just pick singles matches like that. I thought there'd be a stipulation in that one, but...
What are your thoughts on it?
I was sort of saying, I was kind of the same as Barry there. Like, I misinterpreted the Star Attraction because what I'd done with mine was it was Ronda Rousey's debut and Kurt Angle's return kind of thing. So, I misread or misinterpreted what we're doing. Match itself, it's one of AJ's top 3 matches in WWE. It's one of Cena's absolute very best matches in WWE. Do I really need to add more onto that? Because when you think of how many great Cena matches, especially in that sort of 2.5-2 year period or whatever he was having, and that one stands near the top. And I said, AJ's had some absolute tremendous matches, and it was a match that everyone kind of wanted to see and we'd been talking about for so long. At the end of the day, like, you feel that way about Cena, but when AJ first arrived, you're like, my goodness, look at the match you're going to have now with AJ here. You can't go wrong with that at all.
No, I don't think there was much between that one or the match there at the Rumble. I think it was on Cena match Ric Flair's 16 time. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
I need to watch them both again. I thought I actually preferred the Rumble one, but I'm not sure. I don't think there was much between them. But equally, anyway, both excellent matches. 2 guys I could just sit and watch wrestle all day, actually. And in fact, an iron match between those 2 would be great. I don't think you'd tire of that at all.
Mm. See, just looking over both of your picks for Star Attraction, I think you've ticked the category very well indeed, because Undertaker and Triple H and the Ronda Rousey one, these are both marquee matches that would sell pay-per-views. So I think you have both picked excellent picks anyway. It's just
I thought there were just stipulations I meant. That's what I mean.
Right. So I'm going for Cena and AJ, as I've said. Just crazy shit, excellent stuff, and it was a cementing of AJ Styles as a top star as well in the company. And I think you've had questionable booking over the years, but he's been one of the mainstays in terms of main storylines, and it was because of that feud, I'd say. Next up, how are you going to follow an exhausting match like that? And if you remember the start of this one, shit hit the fan pretty quickly. And yes, Barry, I am actually going along with you and picking the Hell in a Cell match from 2016, Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks. If you remember correctly, this one started off with the cell lowering, and then Charlotte just ragdolled Sasha out of the ring before the cell could even be lowered. Yep. Sasha was powerbombed onto the commentary table, taken out in a stretcher, and then she came back. And throughout this whole match, even to this day, even though she's probably improved in the ring and in general character work, I've never seen Charlotte Flair more manic and just off her head as she was in this match. I think she was a perfect heel, screaming and shouting in Sasha's face. She was a woman possessed, because she couldn't get rid of Sasha no matter how many she tried at these TV title losses. And we've obviously discussed before what this match means in general, so it was basically my first pick and only pick. I hadn't thought of anything else for it. Ricky?
Yeah, I don't. Whatever I said in Barry's, I'll just repeat here.
Okay, Barry?
I obviously would agree with you, because it was the best women's match I've ever seen. Excuse me. As we know, main evented the event as well, so it just showed you how high up they fought. Of those two women at that point, and I really enjoyed that feud as well. So yeah, great pick.
I was going to change my next one, but I'm not, and I can't change it anyway because that one actually wasn't a tag title match. So this one is for the WWE Tag Team titles, and it was SummerSlam 2017, The Shield versus The Bar. I'll hold this match in high regard for a long time for a number of reasons. The Bar ended up becoming one of my favourite tag teams. They did the heel tag team shtick very well, I thought. And it was just about the start of the time where Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were beginning to become friends again after all the carry on in 2014 and 2015. So they had this long story going into it about, are they on the same page? Are they going to just implode again? And there was a lot of will they won't they heading into the match. And they reunited finally on the Raw before this SummerSlam, and then they had a cracking match, which tag titles, the Raw tag titles I believe, against the Shield, culminated in them unifying once again as not the Brothers of Destruction. What were they called? Hounds of Justice?
Hounds of Justice.
Hounds of Justice, and it was a tag team title win for the pair as well. So it was just a culmination of many great stuff. And it's one of those ones I really wanted to pick the Hell in a Cell match with the New Day and the Usos as well, but I just wanted to sort of vary the card, so to speak, so that a Hell in a Cell would stick out. But that's my pick, the Shield versus the Bar. They had a cracker at the pay-per-view after that as well. I think it might have been No Mercy. Can't remember.
Can't remember the name of the pay-per-view.
What are your thoughts on this one, Barry?
I was just out to check what the next pay-per-view was after that. No, I do you remember at the time, as you said, they were having trust issues. Would they, wouldn't they? Would they implode? I can remember finding that a bit weird they left it to the Raw before. It was like, that's how on the edge you were. You didn't know if it was going to happen. And I would assume from that match was just announced on that Raw, then I take it, just before it. So
must have been.
But yeah, it was a really good match. 20 odd minutes, I remember. As agreed, the Bar became one of my favourite tag teams. I remember at first when they got together, I thought, how are these two? That's the most two awkward people we could ever get, teaming up with each other. But they quickly changed their mind from that. After they had a bit of a shaky start as well, but good choice in the tag team scene. Actually, I never ever crossed my mind that one. So yeah, impressed with that one.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the Bar, when that Best of 7 series, when they came a tag team, was fucking excellent as well. This probably wasn't my favourite tag match on a pay-per-view, if I'm honest. I probably preferred the New Day and Usos one.
Pre-show, wasn't it? That was a pre-show, though.
Yeah, but fuck, when did they ever make on a fucking proper pay-per-view? No, that whole Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins stuff, the build up to that was fucking unbelievable. The Bar, one of the best tag teams of the last like sort of 5-6 years. Yeah, awesome. Like I say, I'm it's just pure personal preference between the other tag team, the SmackDown title match, and this one. Mm-hmm. But that's not like, that's asking, do you prefer tomato ketchup or brown sauce? You know what I mean? So, yeah, not an issue with that at all. I thought that's another really, really good match. And like you say, they had a series of really good matches, these two teams.
Yep.
And it was just the latest in a long line of terrific and awesome The Bar matches.
The Shield were so good with those organised chaos matches where it seemed like it was just a rabid fight, but it was well orchestrated.
Funny you say, when we always spoke about a number of matches being organised chaos, the match later, the main event of that pay-per-view was the epitome of organised mayhem.
That's right.
Brock, Roman, Samoa Joe and Braun in that fatal four-way. Was it Brock goes out sort of midway through early on in the match and he comes back in, etc. So, yeah.
I just remember literally laughing out loud at how chaotic that was.
I know, and that card had like a couple of real big highs because I enjoyed that match. That was like 15 minutes of just absolute chaos.
Yep.
Coupled with those two really good tag matches. Alexa Bliss and Sasha had like a solid match, and I think Naomi and Natalia had a pretty solid match as well, actually. But then you had fucking stinkers like Finn and Bray, and it's Bray, I know, but still Nakamura and Jinder Mahal, and you had that Enzo Amore in the Shark Tank above the ring, like just utter like shitty matches coupled with like some real good matches. A weird pay-per-view if when you think back on it.
I forgot that fatal four-way for the title.
Well, that main event, that was brilliant. Chaotic, as you said, that was the best way to sum it up.
Aye. Right, my phone's just not turned off, it's just closed up. Right, 3 left. This is the secondary title, the world title, and this is the reason why I've not included any of the TLC matches and also not included my favourite match of all time, that being HBK versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. This match took place at WrestleMania beforehand. It was a streak versus streak. It was months in the making beforehand and months afterwards. Probably, I'd say Edge's best rivalry, even maybe Taker's as well. Undertaker versus Edge for the world title at WrestleMania 24, sorry. Really good tale told in that match where you have Edge trying to say, anything you can do, I can do better. So it was basically reversal city. Anything that Undertaker tried, Edge would counter it, and then Undertaker started adapting to that, and it was just this constant like exponential growth of shit. This is getting bigger and bigger till the counters were constant, and then I think the edge heads came down. Undertaker chokeslammed one of the edge heads onto the other outside the ring, and then a top-notch finish where it looked as if Edge was going to take the streak. Big spear to Taker, but then Taker put him in Hell's Gate. Just outstanding match, and I'd wanted to make sure that I had Edge on this. It was either that or the TLCs, but I can't think. Obviously there are. We've heard some better secondary title matches over the years, but this is my favourite. I'd like your thoughts on that, please, Ricky. Oh, he's away. I forgot. He's otherwise engaged.
Would you say he's what?
Otherwise engaged, but you're back.
No, sorry. Let's say I'm flicking back and forth between the notes. Yeah. Like Taker and Edge are kind of synonymous with each other. One of the few times where you felt like, as you say, the streak's ended, it's ending. And maybe at that point, I can't remember, but maybe there wasn't such an emphasis on the streak at the time. I think for me, looking at kind of that we started to emphasise that more later on. But yeah, like I says, I know why you've got this match in there. Another great match. They had a series of some awesome matches. And this one, as for your secondary title, yeah, it's again. I think the best, like the greatest praise I can give a lot of these kind of matches is, do they stand the test of time?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to answer that one, because the answer's pretty obvious what it is, and it's a yes.
Thank you. Barry.
Yeah, great choice for the world title. It was one of my options as well, picking from. Right. So, but I would say what Ricky was saying, there must have been an emphasis on the streak, because I remember Edge saying recently he was asked to end the streak at that pay-per-view.
Right.
So I'm assuming it must have been brought up. I don't even take it with too much aware actually at first, to be fair.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking was it an emphasis on TV? I don't know why. It just like all my memories of a streak just seem to are only like of the last sort of like 7-8 years or so. I'm trying to think when I think that streak.
Well, it ended at 30.
Remember?
So
that's what I'm thinking. So like, was it maybe around about the Shawn Michaels one, and I felt like, is this the first time I've heard it? I don't know when the first time I heard it, but like I said, I don't really remember that being addressed. But maybe I'm missing like a glaring thing. I'm not sure.
I think Randy Orton used it quite a lot in his build up to his, because he was going about being a legend killer and how he went the streak and stuff. So I think it was just in and out.
Great gimmick.
I remembered, and then he fought like Mark Henry in a casket match the year later, and I was thinking,
that was dreadful.
I don't really remember anything about a streak then being mentioned. So no, you're right. I think it was just sort of went in and out. But from probably then the Edge match, if he's saying that, it must have been from the Edge match forward then. But although they did have a Hell in a Cell that year as well at SummerSlam, didn't they? Mm-hmm. I'm sure. That was probably better, that match, but I would still say that's probably one of the better WrestleMania main events they've had over the years as well. Considering the ones generally over the last few years haven't been that great, to be honest with you. So, but no, it's a great pick, good solid pick there. And again, it was a moment in that match where you could see, I thought the streak was ending there as well, actually.
And when you think of the world heavyweight title, those two guys are maybe right at the top of the list that you think of, especially Edge.
Definitely.
I mean, considering they could have had their main event that year, the triple threat match, the other title match was Cena, Orton and Triple H. So,
yep.
Fucking hell. So, we've got my blood feud second to last, and I've not seen it a lot, but I have watched it, and I actually watched this in Barry's house. This is the 3 Stages of Hell match between Steve Austin and Triple H at No Way Out 2001. Now, take a breath if you need to, guys. I understand that was a...
I'm glad I'm sitting down.
You'll never... I mean, I know his heel turn gets a lot of grief, and just the general direction of WWE in 2001 gets grief. But this match for me was the start of Austin's descent into absolute madness and insanity. There was at one point in the match where they were just going at the clappers at each other, and Austin literally screamed in El Hebner's face, "Get the fuck away from me." And it's still on the network today. It's clear as day. And Austin, it was so believable how angry he was with Triple H, and he would do absolutely anything to just destroy everything in his path. I can't remember, I don't know if obviously there will have been 2 to 3 falls matches before, but something is like this, a 3 Stages of Hell, where this has been a rivalry technically that's been going on since SummerSlam 99.
It was Survivor Series, was it not?
Well, because of the whole...
Was it SummerSlam or Survivor Series supposed to be a triple threat with Rock and Triple H?
Aye,
Survivor Series.
Yeah, Survivor Series.
But Austin got quote-unquote knocked over.
Yes,
but, it started
it was
back
done for The Rock.
But then it turns out that Triple H was the real perpetrator of the hit and run stuff. They'd been back and forth, they warred with each other at the Royal Rumble, interfered in each other's matches and Rumble entrances, I believe. And then it came to the match itself. They weren't allowed to touch each other leading up to it, and they just ripped the shit out of each other. Scary shit. It's quite scary talking about it just now, actually. Give me a moment. Barry?
Yep, again, another one of my choices here. I just couldn't fit it in because I'd already had them used elsewhere, so it was just going to be too much hassle of moving bits of the card around again. So, no, thoroughly great choice. Excellent pick. This is when Triple H was just coming around as a cerebral assassin, as we mentioned there, because of that hit and run with Austin. Really violent match as well. I'll need to actually rewatch it because I've not seen it for years. On the note of, was there any other 3 Stages of Hell's match? Yeah, there was. It did feature Triple H. It was also one of my choices. It was going to be one of my choices as well. He actually fought Shawn Michaels in a 3 Stages of Hell match at Armageddon.
Oh, aye, that's right.
2002, I believe. One of them was a steel cage, believe it or not, and there was a ladder involved in the same match, so that's crazy. I think it was the first match was the singles, and then it was steel cage, and it ended in a ladder match. So, but no, I would actually probably say the Stone Cold Triple H one was better than that still anyway, but both were going to be options on mine. But no, I did thoroughly enjoy that one, so great choice. But if that doesn't main event it, then I'd love to see what it does.
Ricky? He's away again. This fella.
Yeah, great pick. I think the Ricky here SmackDown Here Comes the Pain or GM mode in me would have liked the first fall to have not been a normal stipulation, but that's just purely just stupidity incarnate for me. I think the match went just shy of an hour as well.
Really? Fucking hell.
Something along those lines. See what I most like about this pick is